So guys, today on Sports Central, we're going to be going over a college football game preview over the 2019 Frisco Bowl between Utah State and Kent State. This should be a pretty good matchup here. Both teams are evenly matched for sure. Of course, with their previous game for both these teams, Utah State beat New Mexico 38-25. So they comfortably beat New Mexico. Of course, New Mexico, though, is 2-10 on the season. So really, that isn't really considered a signature win. As for Kent State, they beat Eastern Michigan 34-26. Good win there as well. A few key stats from that game from Utah State for that matter. Love was 18 for 35, 172 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. So overall, he had a pretty decent game, but 18 for 35. You definitely should have at least 200 yards with 35 passes. For Kent State, Crum had a great game, 17 for 23 and 197 yards. And he had no touchdowns, but of course, he's had a really good season. And that's going to be part of the reason why Utah State could win this game is if they can shut down Crum. And if they can do that, I genuinely think that Utah State has a great shot at winning this game. But yeah, once again, Crum is probably one of the better quarterbacks in Kent State's conference. I mean, that's no doubt there because he's only had like 2 interceptions on the season, along with 18 touchdowns. So overall, I mean, Kent State is set with him. This game's going to be on Saturday, December 20th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Frisco, Texas. Spread currently says Utah State by 8.5. So they're saying Utah State wins comfortably. The FPI is saying 64% Utah State, and then Vegas is saying 44-35 Utah State as well. And that kind of surprises me because I think this game is going to be much, much closer than what the odds are saying. Utah State is a great team. I think they've got a lot of talent on their team. But Kent State, on the other hand, you cannot forget about that team. It's not just the quarterback that's good on that team. I mean, their defense has been bumpy, but if Kent State can have a good defense here and they can shut down Utah State's offense, that would be a huge plus for this Kent State team. Here's our stat comparison for this one. I mean, really, we got mostly average stats here. Utah State, 28.3 points per game. They've allowed 29 even allowed per game. Total pass yards per game, they've had 275. Rush yards per game, 149, and then yards allowed is 431. So really, I mean, if you can keep that yards allowed number below 400, below 350, you will have got a really good defense. But both of these defenses apparently not are all the best that you could be. Of course, with Kent State, they've allowed 470 yards allowed per game. I mean, having 470, that is extremely excessive. If Utah State can take advantage of that, they should win pretty comfortably, like the odds are saying. But yeah, for Kent State, points per game, 27.4. Points allowed per game, 31.1. Pass yards per game, 212. Rush yards, 181. And the records for both these teams, Utah State is sitting at 7-5 right now. Kent State is 6-6. Here's your stat comparison as far as the previous 5 games for both these teams. Utah State, of course, beat New Mexico once again, 38-25. They got wiped by Boise State at home, 56-21. And of course, I mean, Utah State, I mean, they're a much better team than get blown out 56-21 to Boise State. And I understand that Boise State is a great team, especially in the Mountain West Conference. But Utah State needs to be better than that to lose 56-21 to Boise State. You got to be better than that. They beat Wyoming, which has been a decent team this year, 26-21. Good win there. Beat Fresno State on the road, 37-35, and then got wiped by BYU. So they've been really, really bumpy this November. Of course, you got a couple of good wins in there. I mean, that Wyoming win's pretty good. Fresno State could argue with it being on the road. That's a good win. But yeah, BYU, I mean, you cannot lose 42-14 to BYU. And that's why I think this is going to be a pretty questionable game, especially with Kent State. They've won 3 straight. They beat Eastern Michigan 34-26, beat Ball State 41-38, and then beat Buffalo, which Buffalo obviously is probably one of the better teams in the conference, 30-27. So you got to consider that. They lost to Toledo 35-33, and then Miami, Ohio. Of course, Miami, Ohio went to the championship game, lost to them 23-16. And I mean, once again, Kent State, they have a pretty good win there against Buffalo, but Eastern Michigan, Ball State, those are 2 wins, but they're just considered wins in my opinion. But yeah, for both these teams, of course, kind of looking into this game, who has more momentum, I'd have to say Kent State here because Utah State has, they've won 3 of their last 5, just like Kent State, but they got blown out by Boise State just here a couple weeks ago. So with that being said, I think both teams are pretty evenly matched as far as stat comparisons. Here's our key points for this one. Kent State quarterback Crum has had a great season. We went over that already. Of course, he's got an 18-2 touchdown interception ratio. That is excellent. You don't really see much better than that. Utah State had a bumpy November. We went over that as well, and how Kent State has won 3 straight. Yeah, but very evenly matched teams. I expect this game to be much, much closer than what the odds are saying. I think Kent State honestly has a genuine shot at beating Utah State here, and that would be a really big win for that program. Of course, with Utah State being 7-5 and Kent State being 6-6, Utah State's already an advantage. And you also got to consider Utah State's conference, the Mountain West, is much better than Kent State, so you got to consider that as well. How would each team win, though? I think if Kent State can continue to control the football, control the line of scrimmage, they should easily go on to win this game. You got to shut down Utah State's offense. And if you can do that, I mean, this game is very possible. For Utah State, you got to shut down Crum, make sure that he can't get any big plays. And of course, I mean, Crum is, considering the conference, he's probably not all that great of a quarterback. But yeah, for his conference, Crum is definitely a quarterback to watch out for. And of course, I mean, he's had a great season. You also got to watch out for that. So yeah, once again, Utah State shut down the quarterback, and also you got to control the line of scrimmage as well. So yeah, with all that being said, here's my prediction for this one. Halftime score 21-17 Kent State. I think they take a 4-point lead. I think it's going to be very back and forth, especially through, I'd say, the first 3 quarters. In their fourth quarter, I think Utah State starts to pull away a little bit. They shut down Kent State, I think, in the first parts of the second half. But they win it in the end, 34-28. Of course, both teams are still evenly matched, but that's kind of what I'm expecting here. But yeah, once again, let me know your guys' thoughts on this game in the comments below. Do you think Kent State can pull off an upset here? Of course, I mean, both these teams are evenly matched, so it wouldn't really be much of an upset. But of course, Utah State is pretty favored here in this one. But yeah, once again, thank you guys all for watching. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see you all later.